This one's gorgeous. They're like the Ferrari of the oven world. Really big moment for us.
My team really questioned me a lot on that.
So gorgeous. Goes perfectly with the outfit. If you're not aiming for perfection, you're not going to get close to it. Hi everyone. For today's video, I am joining you from Decorex, which is the interior design trade show here in Kensington, Olympia. In this video, I'm going to be taking you around some of the stands of my favorite suppliers, sharing with you some of my favorite products that they've come out with, including our brand new handle that we've just released with Armac Martin. I'm also here to host a design talk on sharing tips for running a successful design business. So I'm going to share snippets from that talk in this video for any of you who are interested in running a design business and would like to know the reality from experts, including not just myself, but Sharu Gandhi from Elysion and Irene from Gunter & Co. All of the tips will be shared here. You don't want to miss it. Now that we've got the first interview out the way, we're going to go and have a look at all the different suppliers, and I'm going to share with you some of my favourite finds from the show. Now, my first top tip when you come to an exhibition show like this is try and start systematically. Always start down one end so you don't end up doubling up, because it takes a long time to get through these places. So either start from the far left or the far right and then go down the straight aisles. The first supplier, now this is a new supplier to me, and I saw this one yesterday when I was judging, Lights and Lamps. And I have to say, I love their stand, I love the branding, and they've got some really gorgeous lamps in here. So let's go in and have a look. This one's gorgeous. This really caught my eye. I love this rattan wrap design. Great for an orangery or a conservatory. And I love a wall lamp, especially something that's in a natural stone. This is so gorgeous in the colour Viola. You just want to touch it. Love these as well. We've used some very similar ones to this in a project before. And the linen wrap ones as well. These would be great for a guest bedroom. How cute is this? I'm also noticing a big trend around the show this year is going for unusual sizes, whether that's super oversized or really micro. This would be so cool in a little boy's bedroom that likes astronomy. It kind of reminds me of the main. This stand really caught my eye yesterday because I love this bare walnut in this dark brown. It's so gorgeous. It goes perfectly with the outfit. And this is something that we're using a lot in our projects as well, with the rounded corners. And then they've got coordinating bedside tables with the niche. These are so pretty. I think they're really good for any kind of property, and I'd love to use them in a project. So behind me is the Armac Martin stand, so come on, let's have a look at my new handles. So this is the brand new handle that we designed called the Nelson. Absolutely love how it's got this rib texture. We're going to do them in all the standard finishes that Armac Martin do. They're known for having a really wide, extensive range of finishes. So this is my favorite finish, but they come in all the standard Armac Martin finishes. This is called SAS. I love how it's almost a hybrid between antique brass and bronze, but you can also get it in polished brass, chrome, nickel. And then they also have them available as knobs. Here you've got it in the polished brass, and this again is the SAS. I love how they kind of look a little bit like a beehive, and we're going to use this exact same handle on Oscar's new vanity unit for his bathroom renovation that we're starting next month. So I'll show you what they look like once they're installed. Now, they won Best New Product at the Decorex show, so really big moment for us. Very proud about that and can't wait to launch them. They're not available yet, but as soon as they go live on the website, I'll share it with you guys. Tucked over here, you can see we've got our extensive mirror collection. This is called the Claremont Mirror Collection. I've shown it on the channel a lot of times, but it's really nice for people to be able to see the full collection, because I think unless you can see them, it's really hard to appreciate the quality. Now, this is our very first handle that we designed with Armac Martin. It's called the Grove, and obviously you can see it's inspired by bamboo. For me, this is so nice to see in the chrome because I've only ever used them in the SAS, and it looks completely different. We've got the handle, the T-bar, and the little knob. Are you ready to take your interior design dreams and turn them into reality? I'm Sophie Paterson, interior designer. After 18 years in the interior design industry and over 80 projects completed, for the first time ever, I'm taking you behind the scenes to learn my design process step by step. From the very beginning of how to take an effective brief, how to do floor plans, how to tackle joinery designs, furniture, lighting, and even project management. We've also included 8 workbooks to accompany each module. I'm also sharing some case studies and projects that I've never shared elsewhere. These case studies illustrate every single point that we make throughout the course, so it's not just me talking about theory, but showing you how to apply that in real life. You'll have access to over 14 hours of video content that is exclusive for the Academy. You'll also get my little black book of suppliers. This is my most trusted suppliers that we use on our real projects across the world, some of the best suppliers that no one else wants you to know about. All of this will be at your fingertips. The Sophie Pattern Academy isn't about copying our style. It doesn't matter what style of design you like, whether it's traditional, eclectic. The Academy is all about empowering you with the knowledge, the tools, the structure, and the confidence to carry out your best design work. You've seen the inspiration, and now it's time to learn the process. I can't wait to invite you in to the Sophie Paterson Academy. So very excitingly, I've just bumped into Sakina, who is one of our Sophie Paterson Academy students. We've got matching bags, and I'm loving your outfit,
Thank
Sakina.
you so much.
So Sakina's very kindly offered to give us a little insight into her experience with the Academy. And firstly, thank you so much for downloading it. It means so much. It's always so nice to meet people in real life who follow what we do. And what I'd love to ask you is, what was the biggest surprise that you had about the Academy when you started studying it? I know you've just begun, but it would be lovely to hear about your experience so far.
So the one thing I really loved, I went through the first module right now, which is the hallway.
Yeah.
And there's so much information. It's quite detailed,
Yeah.
especially your supplier list, which is amazing that you're sharing all of that information because nobody does that.
I know, my team really questioned me a lot on that.
And I think it works for all budgets.
Yeah.
So it's not like high-end luxury only. You can actually be on a budget and still get the guideline and the information and do equally well, and you can still have a very curated space.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. And I know that you're studying on Inchboard as well. How would you say our course differs to maybe other courses that you've done in the past?
So I'm doing Inchbold and I'm doing Sophie Paterson simultaneously. I would say your course is more real life industry experience with suppliers and what could go wrong and how to fix that. Inchbal is giving more technical, as if you don't know how to sketch, they'll teach you how to sketch and the very basics.
Yeah.
I think they both are amazing for someone like me who really needed that knowledge and as well as the technique and skill. For me, both are working great.
Well, you should feel very proud of yourself because I know you've got a 4-year-old at home as well, so you've definitely got your hands full. And I would say, lastly, how do you feel that the course is going to benefit you going forward? Do you feel like it's going to give you more confidence? Do you feel less overwhelmed? I'd love to hear what your personal experience is. I know you're doing your own personal project now.
I think your course would give them all the tools that are required to get to the final stage because it's very well organized, from the questionnaire to the sourcing to which step goes first and the FFNE. Everything is very properly, sectioned. So yeah.
That's so nice to hear. And then, sorry, I know I just said that was my last question, but I'm just really enjoying seeing these insights. You've obviously followed us on Instagram, and I know you follow us on YouTube. How would you say the content in the Academy differs from what we share for free on our social media platforms?
With your course, it's obviously way more detailed. So you get way more out of it. This is, I would say, what you give online is 10%, and the rest of 90% is in that course. So definitely, if somebody is really looking to seriously consider getting the course, should do it because it's very reasonably priced. I think you get a lot out of that, grant. It's a lot. You're giving out a lot of information, especially suppliers.
Yeah, that was really important to us. I wanted it to feel like good value for money. Well, thank you so much for sharing those insights with us. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best with your future career.
Thank you.
Every year at Decorex, they do a central bar and a VIP bar. Behind me, this is the central bar, and I particularly love the design this year. It's got this kind of marquee tinted roof, and when you're inside it, it gives a real sort of cocooning effect because there's a lot of loud acoustics at this show, and as soon as you step in, you just feel much calmer. I love how they're bringing aspects of nature as well with all the greenery and even the fabric wrapped on the poles. It's a really chic design. I think they've done a brilliant job. This is a supplier that I've been wanting to check out for a long time, Offici. They're like the Ferrari of the oven world. We have used Le Cornu before in our golf project, but we've never been able to work with Offici, and I am sort of debating between the two for my own home. So let's go in and have a little look at their stand. Quite well known for their outdoor barbecue areas as well. So Where the oven's quite busy, let's see if that area is a bit more quiet. Perfect, it is. So these are not cheap, as you can imagine, but the level of detailing is so gorgeous. You can get them in different rail colours for this element that's spray lacquered. And then they come with different metal finishes. So you can either have the polished chrome, or I'm hoping to do an antique brass. So I'll see if they've got any samples of that. I probably wouldn't do this in my outdoor garden because I haven't got the budget, but it's so nice to see. And that's the great thing about these shows, is when you've got projects around the world, you never know what they might be wanting. It's a chance to see these products in real life, all in one big space. Let's have a little flick through their brochure. How gorgeous is that? This is kind of similar to the outdoor area that we're doing. We're doing an outdoor kitchen in our house renovation next year, and it's going to be undercover. That's more my style. I love the taupe. This is really nice. The problem with these shows is you see all these incredible designs and then your budget gets blown. They have a showroom in Florence as well where you can do cooking demonstrations, so I might try and see if I can find time for that next year. That is very spectacular. The thing that I'm most keen to find out is, obviously I love the way they look, but I would like to do a cooking demonstration to see what they're actually like to cook with, because I am a keen cook and I don't want it to just look nice. I want it to be sort of user friendly. So hopefully if I can go to Florence and I can do a cooking demonstration, I'll be able to feed back to you guys what they like to use. So here you can see some of the different finishes they do. Haven't seen an antique brass yet, but hopefully, I think they might have one on that side. Love this combination with the antique brass and that kind of aubergine colour. That's so pretty. You can get the full kitchen by Offici, but that's not what I'm planning on doing. I'm planning on just doing the oven and then having custom cabinetry. So you can even get a microwave or a standard oven. I think Gwyneth Paltrow's got one of these kitchens in her Italian property. Lift? Thank you. It's not idiot proof. I wouldn't be able to get into my cupboards. I'm not sure if that's a plate warmer. And here's the main range. This is one of their largest designs they do, and you can sort of cater it to whatever your requirements are. I probably wouldn't go this big because I haven't got the space. But I really love the matching hood as well. So that's the main oven. Another cooking area in there. And then these are just drawers. So it's not a huge cooking space. You might need to double that up if you like to do a lot of cooking for a lot of people. And I probably wouldn't want to go for the gas because I don't have gas in my kitchen. I don't like cleaning a gas hob, although it does look really nice. So good to see it in real life.
So, hello, I'm Elspeth Pridham and I write the interior design blog, The Insider. And this is a session I've been particularly looking forward to, because look at our panel. We've got Shari Gandhi, Irene Gunter and Sophie Paterson, who are all extremely successful interior designers. And we're going to delve into tips for running a successful interior design business. So we're just going to say one tip and then we're done with that. But actually I think there's probably a little bit more to it than that. Do you have, I'm kind of asking a question I know, but you have specific people on your team who look after that? Because I know it can take up so much time.
It can. Well, I'm still really heavily involved. I hired Megan and Bella, my social media managers, back in April. Up until then it was completely me by myself. But I don't think you can extract yourself in that process. I think it has to be the owner of the business that's showing the true insights behind the scenes.
I did it myself quite poorly up until about 18 months ago, and then we hired a lovely gentleman who's full-time in-house with us, and that's his full-time job, but it's several meetings a week just to make sure I'm happy with how it comes across, because it's a bit more involving me as a person.
Yeah. And I think you're right, it's so easy to think you can do it all, but you're the designers and this is now a whole terrible monster we have to feed, isn't it, with social media, but it brings business in. So that's slightly following on from that theme, let's talk about staff. Cherry, starting with you. how do you employ, or certainly when you were growing the business, how did you choose which staff to take on? Did you need to be very honest with yourself about what skills you had and maybe the ones that you needed to bring in from elsewhere?
I was very clear and had real visibility of what I could not do. So there was what I could not do, and I hired for that. So things like finance, office management, and then very quickly things that I should not do, which are things that don't need me to do them. And so as soon as the business could afford it, I had a personal assistant very early on, helping me with administrative tasks, diary management. So it's what you can't do and what you shouldn't do, which are two quite different approaches, and started to sort of fill in the gaps. I built an organogram very early on for year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, so that I had a sort of direction of travel. That doesn't mean I've stuck to it, but it did set out sort of the scene and the strategy over 5 years.
But do you find it easy to let other people have to go at some point? Don't look at them.
No, I'm laughing because my PA is sat in the front row and she knows me very well. I am a control freak, and I think most designers, we do want to control everything very tightly because we're very passionate, we want very high standards. And that's something that I've learned to do as the business has grown. You can't do everything, you can't be everything in the business, and if you are going to do that, it's going to inhibit your growth. So I think the biggest lesson that I've sort of learned through experience, and I found it very challenging, is to let go, like you say, Cheryl, delegate the stuff that you shouldn't be doing, or also understand your weaknesses. You don't have to be good at everything in the business, and that isn't a weakness, admitting that, but then hire for those areas so that your collective strength as a team is stronger.
And do you find it quite easy to find the right people in terms of just employing, when you put a job advert out there? Or
We hire really slowly. So like I said earlier, we're a team of 15. We've been going for nearly 18 years. And there's a couple of reasons for that. And I think one of the main reasons why I hire so slowly is that I want a really stable team. Some of my team have been with me for 13 years, 11 years, 10 years. And I think from the client perspective, that's so key, because I don't want to have a team constantly changing. My worst nightmare would be that the team on that client's project changes halfway through, which sounds crazy, but some of our projects take 4 or 5 years. But I think just investing in that team is really key. A happy team is happy clients at the end of the day, and you spend more time with these people than you do your own family. So you want them to be happy.
And we were talking just before we came in, Irene, about saying, today our talk is about running a successful interior design business, but success doesn't necessarily mean, obviously I've used this as a very rough gauge, how many people you employ, but success doesn't have to be the size of the business, does it? It's like, who's happy? You're agreeing there. What would you say is a sign of
Not
success?
at all. I mean, it depends on your personal goals, what you want to achieve. Are you building your business for an end goal to sell it, to pass it on as a legacy? What sort of work do you want to do? And also, very crudely put, that you can be running a very large business where you're just passing finances through your business and it's not profitable. You have to understand what strategically as a size is right for your business commercially. Size is not necessarily an indicator of success, even at a commercial level. There are certain tipping points at which you can look back and maybe there's a smaller size at which your business was more profitable, or maybe you're working towards a different goal that's driving your growth. It does depend. And I think when you're starting out, I'll often have people starting out saying, how do I know? You don't, but I think with the information you have to hand, start building a story of your business, and then within 3 years you'll be able to reflect and see what worked, what didn't, and then you can maybe use that to start to make plans. It is very hard on day one to know what you just want to survive. So the first few years are just pure survival, and then you can start thinking strategically.
I think very crudely, to me, the kind of benchmark was, I want to get to the point that I can go on a 2-week holiday and it will run. So to get a team,
that's a great motivation.
to get a team that can do that, and then from then on out, it's about figuring out, do you want to manage a large team and deal with the HR and the strategy for that, or do you prefer to be a little bit more on the tools and hands-on?
Well, Sophie, if I can just backtrack with you a little bit now, we've talked about setting goals. Have you always had a clear vision for where you wanted your company to go? Do you think that's important?
I have. I think sometimes it's been a subconscious vision. I don't have like a vision board, but I think I've always had a clear vision of where I want to be. And I think now that I'm like in my 40s and I'm looking forward, I'm thinking, what do I want that overall vision to be? And I set goals. I don't set like massive goals, but I set goals that are sort of 1 to 3 years, so it's achievable. You don't want to be looking sort of 10 years down the line. But I think what I would say, and I've learned again through experience, is set big goals, because there's no point setting small goals that are easy to knock over. You want to set really big ones. And every year, every January, I set a list and I do my business goals, my life goals, health goals. I try and think about all aspects of my life, and I'll have maybe 15 in each category. And I don't have to achieve all of them, but I try and achieve 5 of each of them. And I think that's quite a good way of making sure that you're sort of working towards those end goals. And what I also do is every year I do it. And if something's been on my list for 5 years and I've not knocked it over, I have to do it that year. But that can be a nice thing. Like sometimes I put on my list, I must go to a spa resort. So last month I went to a spa resort because it's been on my list for 5 years. But I think, yeah, I do have visions, I do have goals, and I'm very goal orientated. And I think they've changed over time. So when I first set up the business, you know, my goals were very small. I just wanted to get a website, and then I wanted to get 6 projects on my website. And then I really wanted to be in the interior design review by Armac Martin. I don't know why, but it was my ultimate end goal. And then what I find is if you do those, you've got to very quickly set new goals, because I'm directionless unless I know what I'm working towards. But now it's kind of transitioning. Now that I'm in my 40s, I kind of look towards the end. I think, what do I want? Not legacy sounds a bit big-headed, but what do I want to look back and think about my career? And I want to think about doing amazing projects. I want to think that my clients, decades down the line, will be really happy with their home, enjoy it, and you know, they'll stand the test of time. And then more recently, what I really want to do is I want to empower others. I want to help educate others, because I've started from the very bottom. I've run my business just by myself for 5 years, and I know how challenging that is. I know how overwhelming it is. And I think if I can not gatekeep and I can share some of those things I've learned the hard way and help other people fulfill their potential, I'll look back and I'll be very happy.
Which you are doing.
Yeah, with my academy.
Your academy, absolutely. Joe, how do you stand out? It's a competitive business. How do you stand out? Do interior designers need a niche? Do they need a particular look? How are you out there? And
so that's been an interesting journey for us at Elysian, and actually was I think that the less traumatic route would be to have a look and niche and be quite targeted. I say that because that is exactly what Elysian did not do. I had a very sort of perhaps naive idea in my head that I didn't want to have a style that I repeated through my career. So it was driven by my desire to do a very wide range of styles. That made it very difficult for us in the first 5 years. People would say, we don't know who you are. In time, in the fullness of time, at the 11-year mark, that's become a strength, because we have the same client comes back to us for the 4th, 5th project, because they can all look entirely different from each other. But I think you do have to have your sort of elevator pitch about what your business is about. And actually the best way to practice it is by recording. That's how I did it in the beginning. I just recorded a message to myself. Writing it down can be quite hard, putting pen to paper, and I just spoke to myself, went over it again and again until I came up with my elevator pitch. I think if your elevator pitch is stylistically driven, that is probably the clearest route, but it can be different. It can be a unique service you're offering, a unique approach to projects. Maybe you can go faster than everyone else. You know, you have a different procurement route. But yes, you do need to find, ultimately what are we doing? We're identifying a problem and how do we solve it. So you need to try and explain how you can solve it better than 5 other people. And that can look like many different things.
I love that top tip. Just practicing it.
I want to hear it. Can you share it with us later?
I do voice memos all the time.
But you're
and
right,
I find it so much. Yeah, it's less committed.
Voice memos to yourself?
All the time.
Oh, I hate a voice note.
Irene, what about you? Do you think you need a niche or a look or a... I mean, everyone can see on the screen, so kind of what everyone's doing. You can see it's not like overly...
I think it's almost the wrong way to look at it, because that's looking at it from our point of view, whereas I think it's far more interesting when we sign a client after a couple of months to say, what made you sign us? Because they go around, they have conversations with different people. And I would say 70% of the time it's personality. It's, we met with several people, they were all competent. I think it would be slightly unrealistic to think that we are the only people who can do this particular thing in the most brilliant way on the planet. It's just about, could you imagine spending 18, 24, 36 months with this person, going to dinner with them, falling out with them and making up with them, and doing all those things, and you get along in terms of style, all those things have to click. And so meeting a client in person, to me, is the most important thing, because it's a little bit like going on a first date.
Sophie, how are you standing out from the crowd? How have you set yourself apart in the competition?
I echo what Irene says. I think when it actually comes to winning clients, it's that initial meeting. And I think I always ask clients after we've been working for a few weeks, what made you sign us? And again, I think it's about how safe they feel in your hands, because this is the single biggest investment they're going to make. They might like your photos on Instagram and Pinterest, but they've got to feel like their money's safe with you. You're not going to be making mistakes. They also, and I think this is something that my clients are surprised with me, is that they need to feel like they're going to be listened to. And I think that's a fear they sometimes have, is that if you're a big designer, it's all about your vision and you're just going to impose on them. But it's very much client-led. We take really detailed briefs, and I think just knowing that we're listening to them, we send them file notes afterwards, we've repeated everything they've said, that gives them a peace of mind that they are front and center. And I think that's the thing that they really appreciate. The images and the interiors have to look good, but what they're going to judge you on, what's going to make them recommend you to their friends or come back with repeat business, is how you made them feel through that process. Did they feel looked after? Did they feel listened to? How did you deal with problems? And of course, did they like the end result?
I think that's an interesting point as well. It's obviously we've talked already about having social media and having a high profile, but it can almost be addictive if they then think it's going to be, it's the Sophie Paterson way, not my way. So you've got to sort of almost overcome that when you meet them.
Exactly, and I think we are known for having a signature style, but actually we do very varied projects. But what will often happen is a client will come to us and they might have screenshots of things they've seen on our portfolio and say, okay, I want this living room, I want that bedroom, that dining room. I'm like, it doesn't work like that. This is really boring for me and my team, and it's also not fair to our previous clients. So they might start off that way, and then it's our job as a designer to gently guide them in a different direction that works for them.
I've always thought you just need such good people skills in this job, isn't it?
Yeah.
So everything going on. Okay, we're moving on to, this is always the point that people want to ask about. Fees. Do you calculate your fee structure?
So we charge in three different ways. One is a fixed design fee, which is depending on the size of the project. We look at the amount of rooms. We've got timesheets built into our calculation method of how much does a room of this size on average take, what resources do we put against it over the multi-year period. So there's a fixed element to that that's broken down in payables that are paid upfront to mobilize a design stage. Please pay us and we will start, not we do the work and then you pay us. There is a balance at the end of each phase, but to start it, I don't want any client to be under the illusion that, I didn't realize you had that sort of thing. Then we, for site liaison, when projects start live on site, often they can be digging a basement for 12 months, they might be in planning for 9 months. We are there, but we don't really work on the project. When they start needing us, which is usually from first fix electrical phase onwards, we then charge a monthly fee to go to design team meetings, site meetings, redo the grouting schedule, do all these ad hoc bits to keep the project going, and then we charge a percentage-based handling fee for the FF&E procurement. So it's always broken down in 3 pieces, and that's all kind of laid out in that way.
And then leaves little room for anyone not understanding what the process is.
Exactly.
What about you, Sue? Because I know everyone does this differently.
We now structure it exactly the same way, and I think it's quite interesting that we all run very different businesses, but we structure our fee payment the same way. We have the same thing. A fixed fee, I think that's really key for a client. You need to feel like you're on their side. If their budget grows, why should our fee grow? Just because they decided to specify a much more expensive fabric or flooring, I don't think that's fair. It doesn't represent how much work we're doing. So that's a fixed fee, and again, that's calculated. We also have a finance director, and she calculates exactly who's going to be working on the job, what their salaries are, what percentage of time they're going to be spending, because they might not just solely be doing that project. And then obviously we allow margin because we're running a profitable business. Then we will also do a monthly coordination fee. Ours isn't just when it's on site, because our design fee is purely design, and how we explain it to our clients is once the design leaves our studio and then goes to the architect, or they've got license to alter, or any subcontractors, M&E consultants, that is coordinating. We have to do a huge amount of coordination in our company and in our industry. And that we can't predict. We're at the mercy of that bigger team, that wider team, and the nature of the project. Now, the only pushback I get is there's actually a lot of work before the project goes to site, before they start on site. You might have to do a license to alter, you might have to do, building, planning, And they struggle because they're like, but nothing's happening on site. I'm like, just because there's nothing happening on site doesn't mean we're not doing work. So my biggest tip to you is you should be doing monthly coordination fees, because otherwise you're working for free. But we send a Friday report every Friday, so you don't get those WhatsApps from your clients on a Sunday, what's going on. And they'll hear everything that's going on in the project that week, anything that we're waiting to hear back from them, if there's been any variations from the contractor, everything that they need to know. They've got that, they know they've got the latest information. You're going to get the weekend to be with your family. But also the key thing is highlight on that weekly report what element on there goes into your coordination fee, so that when you send that, we send it every quarter, they don't then have to argue. They've got it clearly detailed every week.
So
and
spelling it out.
And honestly, I think that's the main thing, is you want to have really good relationships with your clients, but you've also got to have that paper trail. So if the worst comes to the worst, you can back yourself up and you can illustrate, we genuinely have done this work, we're not ripping you off.
And you've answered the question before they've even asked it.
Exactly, that's the key, get ahead of it.
Sorry to now, but have you always been like this? Because I think so many interior designers feel a little bit apologetic about charging for the amazing work they do. So this sounds very formal and structured, which is great, but have you always
I still
been
feel
like that?
apologetic now. This is just the background. I still struggle with some of the commercial conversations. They're always hard, the client-facing role. Just this morning I got told that why can't you just make the call? That never goes away, and that's okay. That's part of the client-facing role. Yes, I've always felt quite strongly about our industry and how, I was very young when I graduated from architecture school, studied for 6 years and was told, I'll give you a job if you bring your own laptop, and, I got paid, I think, £350 a week, and I've always felt our industry needs to stand up together and be valued for what we do. We study very hard, we put in a lot of time, we're very passionate about what we do, we're largely very ethical, committed industry, and I've never felt embarrassed or shy to look at the commercials of it in the most respectful, ethical framework. But yeah, I think our industry deserves a lot more than we give ourselves credit for. Yes, I do.
Something actually to follow up with you, Sophie. Obviously, we've talked about get business because you built a relationship with them. You work with these people sometimes for years. They quite often see you as a friend. How would you draw that line so you don't end up over-servicing, so you're not getting something like WhatsApps and can I just ask you this, which I think that's work, isn't it?
Well, our business is structured quite differently, I think, definitely from Sherry's, and I think maybe yours, Irene. Like, we take on a limited number of projects every year, so we are a team of 15, and I am involved in every single project. I go to site visits, I like to be really heavily involved. I don't think you can over-service a client. I think that's the nature. It's a luxury service. They go to the best hotels in the world, they travel first class or private jet. They're expecting a very high level, and because I don't have, hundreds of projects, I have that ability. We do WhatsApp groups, and I know they're the worst thing in the world because you're going to get WhatsApps. But even my team, we allow it because you have to communicate with your client in the way that you're going to get answers. There's no point sending loads and loads of emails that you never get answered, whereas you could send a WhatsApp and you get the answer straight away, or some people need an on-site meeting, some people need a phone call. Adapt to your client. But I think going back to what I said earlier, the Friday report, that's cut out all the email WhatsApps, because I'm like, there's no update since the Friday report, so there's no point asking me.
Yeah, that's the answer. Like, I think as you say, how you're answering the questions before they come.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
That's great.
You don't need to use fancy words. You know, that's a trap that I fell into very early on in my career. I remember practicing my very first client presentation with my husband, and I was using words that I'd never used before, and I was so nervous, I was physically shaking. And he looked at me and was like, why are you using these words? These aren't even words that you know what they mean. And I think that was such a good lesson early on, is just be yourself. Like, you don't need to have a really wide vocabulary to get that. It's about conveying it in the most simple way for your client to understand, and they're not hiring you for a wide vocabulary, so just, you know, be yourself.
I've just got one more question same question for each of you. We've talked totally about running successful businesses, and you are clearly all business women. Are you still finding time to be creative, Sophie? You've said that you're still involved with every
Yeah, I mean,
project.
ultimately I'm a design geek. I still get really excited. I love coming to shows like this. I obsess over the smallest detail, and I think I wouldn't be happy running a design business if I wasn't involved in the creative. I think it's all about sort of structuring your day. So obviously I have to be involved with the business side too. But something that I've learned is I can't jump from creative to something like strategic, because I won't be so good when I jump back to the creative. So I'll have one day when I just do creative, whether that's designing projects or collections, and then the next day I'll be looking at budgets and forecasts, and I won't do anything creative.
It's a different side of your brain,
Yeah.
isn't it? No, that's a top tip. Irene, are you still managing to be creative?
Yes, so our projects, like I'm sure everyone's, are broken up into phases: concept, interior architecture, epiphany, and we have kick-off meetings, we have catch-up meetings, we have finalise this phase and review it, so nothing kind of goes out and nothing gets started without me being part of the brainstorm. And then it's just, you know, the doom scrolling and finding this one little detail that you really want to use, and I just send it to the team. I'm like, find me a project, we need to use this. So no, it's what you live and breathe, right? It's why you got into the role in the first place. So if it didn't involve the creative anymore, I may as well be running an engineering
Exactly.
business.
But I think it quite often happens when people think they're getting successful, it's getting bigger and bigger, and then they think this isn't why I started. So Cherry, you've got a big company now. Are you still
Yeah,
creative?
so I join pretty much every client meeting. I really enjoy that, the creativity of the meeting and the dynamism. I review pretty much every presentation that goes out. So for me, it's at the start of the day. I find it, like Sophie said, difficult to go between sort of too many different typologies. So for me, first thing in the morning, I try and spend an hour or two very early in the morning looking at design work, because then the rest of the day gets a bit more dynamic. So yeah, I still very much enjoy design, but of course, at a size like 4G, there's a lot that's being done by the team, but I love being involved in as much detail as I can. But yeah, absolutely. I think if I didn't get to do the creative bit, this would just not be fun. Yeah, it wouldn't be fun.
I've probably got about 5 minutes. Are there any questions from the audience here for anybody on our panel?
Should you, as an interior designer, be more like open about the product that you're going to propose, or should you be like more enclosed and say, like, kind of keep it to yourself?
I think it's a mixture on social media. Like, if you're building an audience, it's important to share some stuff, but as a business owner, that is some of the value of your business, certainly not all of it. So maybe give away the supplies that you feel comfortable giving away, and maybe they'll restory you, and that could be good for building your audience. But I wouldn't give every single thing away. It's not like, you know, people ask for links all the time, but it's not like shopping fashion. Huge amount of time's gone into sourcing these suppliers. Some of them are trade only, they don't want to be contacted by retail. So I'd say maybe pick and choose. I don't think it has to be either or. Give away a few, but hold some back as well.
Yeah, you're not doing masterclass for them so they can just copy.
Yeah.
It's your intellectual, you know, it's your intellectual asset to, I think we're too easy to sometimes give away information. It is precious, but different to what Irene's saying in a client scenario, but on social media, it's really precious, that information, you know. You do have to think about it strategically.
Yeah.
I agree.
And just what are some practical tips to curb that perfectionism?
Natasha, are you talking about your perfectionism?
Yeah.
Right, and who's well, I guess you're all perfectionists.
Are we all
here,
perfectionists?
aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's going to lead in on being a perfectionist?
Oh gosh. I think being aware of it's the main thing. And I think, I don't know how early on you are in your career, Natasha, but my perfectionism definitely got the better of me at the beginning, and probably combined with a little bit of imposter syndrome. And as time's gone on, I feel more secure and more confident in my choices, and I don't second guess myself. And I think that comes with experience and time. But also, don't see it just as a weakness. Perfectionism is a strength in our industry. If you're not aiming for perfection, you're not going to get close to it. So it's a balance. And with your design fee, was that part of your specific question? I think you just have to fake it till you make it, even though you might be shivering as you give that sort of proposal over. Just have confidence, because I think so many of us, and I was included in this, totally undercharged at the beginning of my career, and you've got to make a living. We work incredibly hard. We still don't charge for absolutely every minute we're working on the project. It's about building a relationship, but just try and have confidence, and if you don't, fake it.
And I would, learn from that and actually note down what was that scope, what was that project, and how many hours did you actually spend versus what you predicted. Maybe you're not over-servicing, maybe that is genuinely what's needed. So if you find a pattern where 3 projects in a row you're going 30% over on time, then that's your pattern, and that needs to set a new benchmark. In general, especially in the early days, don't worry too much about over-servicing a client. I don't really believe in that, like Sophie said. Like, just really just do your very best. It will pay rewards.
Yeah.
Just look after your clients. I think it rarely doesn't pay dividend, really, honestly. I think it's more about learning what certain clients need from you and pricing it in advance. But once you're committed, just go for it and give them the very best care. And it almost always works out. Sometimes it doesn't, but most of the time it does.
I think it also is dependent on, is this the one project where maybe you are actually working 40% over what you have priced them, but this is going to put you in a new league, a different level, then I don't even care if it's 100% extra work, because it just gets you into it, and it's something you're proud of. You don't ever want to look back and think, oh, if only I had just done that little bit more research. So it comes at a cost for your private life, obviously, to sit till midnight every night, finding that extra idea. But I don't think you regret it in the long run.
So carry on being a perfectionist. Okay, I've probably got time for time out. I've been told time out. Okay, that we could talk for hours. I think it was just so interesting, and you've all been really generous with your time. So Sharon, Irene, and Sophie, thank you so much. Made my job very easy today.
Thank you for having us. So that is a wrap on Decorex 2025. I've had the best time here, seeing suppliers, meeting lots of our followers from different social media platforms, and of course doing the incredible talk with Sharon, Irene. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. Don't forget to follow if you haven't already subscribed here. We've got some amazing videos coming, and you can also get more regular updates on Instagram and TikTok at Sophie Paterson Interiors. Take care, and I'll see you very soon.